Let's talk about the biggest topic on our minds every single day, and that is food. Whitney and I, we moved to Colombia from the United States back in December 2021, and we've been bouncing from Airbnb to Airbnb month over month, and it has posed a huge challenge for us in terms of making really good, healthy food choices.
So yeah, every day of our lives in Colombia, we're confronted by really cheap food options. They are great for the budget, not so great for our health.
But so delicious.
I'm talking about the panaderias with the really fresh bread. I'm talking about empanadas, arepas, arepa huevo. The choices in terms of cheap food are abundant.
But this is why we are making a video to show the types of foods we avoid or choose to eliminate from our diet, and the process we go about making good food choices. When Whitney and I got married back in 2015, we made it our goal and commitment to pursue a better, healthy lifestyle. And it's really become a central part of our marriage. And we really started by focusing on food and healthy eating choices.
I wanted to make it clear, we don't see this as a diet. This is our lifestyle. We actively choose to eliminate and avoid a lot of these foods, although we're tempted by them when we go out to eat, like bread, pizza, cake, sourdough, hamburgers.
Yeah, we try to eliminate bread as much as possible, so we don't buy like bread or make sandwiches at home or anything, so it's really only when we eat out. Another area is like fried food. We don't fry foods in the house, and when we go out to eat, we don't even choose typically fried foods at all. And typically that's also because the type of oil they use, like vegetable oils, canola oils, we have found and learned that they're terrible for your health. So even snacks that contain like vegetable oil, as soon as we see vegetable oil or any type of canola oil and like listed on the label, if we're considering a snack, we just do not buy it.
In general, we try not to get processed foods because most of them are going to have those inflammatory vegetable oils.
Such as chips. Yes. Other things like cereal that are processed, we don't eat. I haven't had a bowl of cereal since 2016. You never
I don't
liked
like cereal.
Microwavable foods, we don't eat at all. We don't even have a microwave inside this apartment, and we don't need it. We don't use it. Frozen foods of any sort, whether it's even fresh produce like vegetables or whatever, we would rather just buy the fresh picked produce instead of getting something frozen. And then of course there are tons of different types of frozen foods that you would just microwave.
Milk and cheese, because I developed a really bad intolerance. We're living in the US, so we just buy milk without lactose.
Yeah, for my coffee, and when he doesn't even drink it, and I put like very, very, very little. And once in a while I have cheese, but only when I eat out, because I don't have that problem. Other things that we avoid are like sodas. I haven't had a Coca-Cola or soda for, it's been probably over 2 years or something. I can't remember the last time I did.
It's been more than 2 years.
Yeah. We've started to like explore just not drinking any alcohol. It's been months since we've had any alcohol, so that's something we've started to avoid. We feel better, healthier because of it. And then of course candy. This is a big temptation, so once in a while, I love dark chocolate, so we do try to avoid candy. So when we're out and about or in a social circumstance, like going to the family's house, when they bring home like some fresh chocolates, because Whitney's dad works a job where they give him all these like really good quality chocolates, we are tempted, but we do not bring it into our actual household so that we're not confronted with eating it often.
Every single day.
Yeah. You're probably wondering, based off of the list of foods that we just mentioned that we avoid or try to eliminate at our diet, what the heck do you eat? And
that's pretty simple. We choose to eat whole natural foods.
Yeah, produce aisle. Fresh fruits and vegetables and fresh cut meat. That is the majority of what we eat. We avoid most things that are packaged. There are some things that are packaged and processed, and we'll show those here in a little bit, that we typically do get frequently, but the majority of what we eat, like 80%, fresh fruit
and veggies.
Fresh fruit and veggies and fresh cut meat.
Let's show you our process. Step 1 is to plan our meals for the next 2 or 3 days. No longer, because since we do choose to eat mostly fresh produce, most of it will be bad within 3 or 4 days. Second, we create a list of what to buy. On our notepad, we write down our meals in the bottom left corner, and it's really what we plan to eat for lunch and dinner, as our breakfast is typically the same thing. Breakfast is usually eggs, nuts, some fruit, and half of an arepa. And we switch up the variety of fruits and nuts every other day. Lunch and dinners typically consist of what we call the 4-quarter rule: a quarter salad, a quarter sauteed veggie, a quarter meat, and a quarter carb. This is why we write down the subtitles: produce, animals, and packaged. Then under each subtitle, we bullet exactly what we're going to get for each category. Third, we go to the grocery store with intention and focus and only get what is on our list. This keeps us from impulse buying and guarantees we are only bringing quality food into our home. The fourth step is to be very aware of our schedule and make it a point to stop what we are doing no matter how busy we get, so that we prep, cook, and eat our food. Breakfast is usually around 7 or 7:30 a.m., lunch is at about 12 p.m., and dinner is usually early at 5 p.m. The fifth step is to take the time to eat our food with joy and gratitude. We feel very proud of the fact that we choose to spend time and energy making and eating good homemade meals. And believe me, we have felt a massive increase in our energy levels and health due to this process and these eating habits.
There is a perception that food in Colombia is much cheaper compared to the United States. However, if you're choosing to eat quality, healthy foods like we are, it is just not that much cheaper for many food items. It's true, some things are cheaper comparatively, like rice, beans, some produce, fried foods, bread, and junk food in general. But as we made it clear earlier, we avoid most of these cheap, abundant foods because they're just not healthy for you. Foods that we do choose to eat that we find are just as expensive as they are in the United States are items like greens, except for lettuce. Prices for kale, arugula, and dark leafy greens are about the same because Colombians do not really eat much greens other than lettuce. These things tend to not be as available as they are in the US. Good quality cooking oils like coconut oil. A jar costs about 40 to 60,000 pesos or 10 to 15 US dollars depending on the brand. Quality meats such as salmon. Salmon just really feels like it costs the same as it does in the US. Nuts and seeds. These are actually way more costly in Colombia than the US. Although they are available, they are often roasted with vegetable oil and are covered in sugar. Finding the ones that are raw is what is challenging, as there is not much variety. A bag of cashews, for example, costs 70,000 pesos or about $15 for 400 grams of cashews. Vinegar, specifically apple cider vinegar. We drink about an ounce of diluted AZV with our meals, and apple cider vinegar is just not cheap. Berries of all varieties, like blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, are often the same price as you will find in the US. Because of these, we do end up spending easily $400 to $600 a month in groceries. This number is down compared to what we would spend in the US, which was about $600 to $800 on groceries per month. But in the end, it's just not much cheaper. However, we do feel that if we don't spend the money on good quality food choices now, we will pay for it in old age.
These habits and food choices have actually gotten easier since we moved to Colombia, even though we did start these habits and food choices in the United States. And one of the areas of that is because we don't have our friend groups anymore that we see often, where they want to go out on the weekend and drink until like midnight or something, which we really haven't done since we moved to Colombia. And we're not confronted with other things that are involved with those situations where there's like cookies in your face and a lot of other cupcakes, yeah, a bunch of other bad food choices, you know, going out to a restaurant where they serve chips nonstop to you and you're just eating chips and salsa and chips. You know, we are not confronted with that situation so much anymore. So it's given us the time and the focus and the energy to really go, all right, we're bouncing from here to here. Let's go ahead and choose good foods that we know are great for our body.
Another thing that has been really helpful to keep up with these habits is choosing to live within walking distance of a grocery store.
I love this because in Colombia we don't need a car. We haven't had a car since we moved here, and there are several grocery stores nearby, and you can just walk. And since we do grocery shop, you know, every 2 or 3 days, you know, we are frequently going to the grocery store and getting what we need and bringing it into the house and eating everything we purchase.
It doesn't turn into like a whole thing as it is in the United States, because you may live within a mile or 5 miles
from a
grocery store.
Our motivation for this is really looking into the future and going, we want to grow old and well. And specifically when we're 80, 90, or maybe 100 years old, that we can take 3 to 5 mile hikes with relative ease like we do today.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I feel way healthier in my 30s than I did in my 20s because I have these habits now.
Well, we're not eating pizzas and hamburgers and drinking almost every weekend anymore.
Not anymore. And so I feel more energetic, and I'm excited about our future. I'm excited about really seeing how much healthier we can become, so that we can continue to experience the things that we truly love and bring more energy in our life, such as, you know, I've already mentioned it, hiking and just exploring the world.
I'm excited to continue to feel the healthiest I've ever felt in my life. I'm excited to continue to move daily with you and make our lives exciting without pain or discomforts.
So if you're watching this, we appreciate it. Give a like, subscribe, and all that. And let us know what your experience, if you live abroad, what your experience has been like with food. You know, what is your relationship with food? Because this is something we have taken very serious. Once again, thank you so much. Peace and love. Definitely